Let's talk about some crazy needles and I will share my opinion, what I like about them and what I am confused about them. And if you have any thoughts, then feel free to chip them in the comment section. You and I, let's make this episode as sort of a research type of a things to find out what needles we can live without and what needles we need more in our life. And yeah, I'm Juris and welcome to Tattoo Shop Talk. And if a conversation is about unique needle groupings, then it must be by Inkclaw. And let's get the big stuff right away out of the way. It's called 1223 M1P. And as of making this episode, I realized that I had them different, and this one is curved one, but before I tried the flat ones. But the options are out there. This is my last one. I will save for a special moment or just keep it as a decoration in the shop because it looks cool and you can scare your customers where like, look at this stuff, I will use it on you. Those names are crazy, it's hard to even read those numbers. It's like 1223, well, it's too many numbers, but it's awesome stuff. It's out there. I'm kind of 50-50 on this grouping. I mean, you can see on Inkclaw's social media, people do amazing stuff with these needles. They do these huge black work. I've seen them used also for like shading big areas. In my experience, it's been up and down. First time results were not that great because it took a while to figure out how to work with it, how to hold it, what machine to use. I used it on Bishop on liner. It's also so big that like you even have to think about how you keep it on your customer, because if you put it sideways the whole needle will not even cover like the round area, so you have to figure out right angles, right speeds and all that stuff. So first result was not that great. Then I used it second time on a gentleman whose arm we were blacking out. We did one session where we kind of rushed it a bit because we wanted to cover biggest area before like I go on holiday. It healed, it was a bit patchy, and then we were going like a second session over it, so there was a lot of areas to sort of even out and smoothen out. It wasn't like solid backing, but we were going over places and we covered the whole area from here to here except the shoulder part, which healed nicely. And it took around 2.5-3 hours, so for that it worked great, and it sped up process by quite a bit just because of the size of it. So that was good experience. And the next time I used it on a gentleman and it was around this bendy part, and customer tapped out in around an hour, so it felt a bit wasteful just to use this needle on such a small area in such a short time. Even though I got them sent to me, it still feels like wasteful just to use it a little bit and throw one out. Still, if you think your equipment can handle it and you do works where you need to cover big areas, be it shading or packing it in, then definitely give them a try. And I gave a bunch of random groupings to a friend of mine who's tattooing. He does, I guess it's called ornamental style. There's a lot of thick lines, so shading, also coloring in big areas. And this was his response, so I will just read it out. So I tried all those needles apart from 111 RS, and yep, 123 Magnum is a joke. Maybe it could help with gray wash when I do big areas, but for black packing it's quite useless, and it's super loud, which is no fun when you work with pen. But I loved 4939 Magnums and I already ordered few packages. And with this message, let's slide into smaller groupings of Magnums. Myself, I also had better results with a bit smaller groupings, which is still huge. It's like 39, 49 Magnums, and they are financially a bit more friendly. I mean, I understand the higher price of this product because it's pretty unique. There's bigger risks to mess up making those needles still, and also with smaller ones it's easier to find ink caps. With this one I found a little hack. When I unpacked it, I put a lump of Vaseline and just used this packaging as an ink cup, so it fits in there, so you don't have to cut some plastic cups and whatnot. With smaller groupings you can sort of find standard big ink cups that would fit. Also check on their webpage, they sell accessories for these big needles, and if you're looking into bar needles they also have grips. Quite pricey, but again, unique product. Now let's go to round shaders. This one is the biggest one that they do. It's 111 round shader. Looks pretty intimidating. It's 0.8 thickness needles in 111 grouping. Pretty huge, even though it's those skinny needles. I haven't had a chance to use this one. They also have 88 and 45. I haven't tried this one and I haven't tried 88. I gave it to some tattooists I know, 88, and they used it on a thick lines on a large back piece project, and it seemed that they used it successfully. The heel tattoo looked nice, so it worked. I did try 45, and this 111, from what I understand, is made just to see how big they can go. It was somebody's special request, but that needle is real, it's a real grouping, it's out there, you can buy it. Again, if your equipment can handle it and you need it in your life, give it a try. And the weird numbers, well, it's like 88 and 111. In Chinese culture, those numbers mean something. It's kind of like good luck or wealth and money, or it's basically some good stuff what it means. In Europe, you don't throw 88 around that much. And when I used that 45 round liner, bam, I used it on a tattoo where it was this graffiti tag style kind of a text on the gentleman's back. I went with Bishop's wand liner, went slowly and easy, kind of light, and you have to also think in those bigger thicknesses about the angle because it's so big. And I was happy with the result that it went in sort of nicely and healed nicely as well. So that's my experience with the bigger groupings in round shaders. And I had a question, what's the point to make like super skinny needles, but a lot of them? Because this is kind of like maybe a bit bigger than like 18 round shader, which is bigger sort of a standard accessible needles. So why wouldn't you make like 12-25 instead of 0.8-45 or 10-35? And I had a chat with Inkclaw, and what I got in reply, they experienced those thinner needles left a smoother line, and at the same time they are working on thicker needle big groupings. I think we had a conversation, it was 12-25 or 12-30, so keep an eye on it. There will be some big round shaders for thick lines out there. I also have needles like 0.8-22. I haven't had a chance to use them because instead I would use something like 14 round shader, and I know how it's behaved. So like, you know, in tattooing you are a bit careful with that new stuff. I know that it's out there, I have it, and if I will have a chance, I'll use them. And now let's get to the fun stuff. This grouping I love just because it exists, and these would be those, they are 3 to 6 by 3 liners, sort of spread out looking magnums, but each of those points is a 3 liner with an equal gap in between and 3 liner again. So it's like a magnum but more spread out, and each point is a 3 liner. And they come in 0, 8, 10 and 12 sizes. First thought when I got them was like, it's either gonna work or it's gonna be complete disaster. It's not gonna be okay. Most of the time I used 4 times 1203 for shading. It gives that interesting texture. It's kind of pepper shading, but maybe a bit more soft, at least in my experience. And I also gave to my colleague and another fellow tattooist who used them, and they also use them for texture in leaves and in feathers, so you do kind of that mag drag type of a situation sideways, and it leaves those skinny, equally spreaded lines. And I've seen some styles where people do the whole designs, which is kind of just these mag drag looking things. I've seen kind of like traditional base design but done in this unique, almost like brush strokey type of a style. So that's interesting use for them. I use them for shading, and one colleague of craft did some insect bug type of a design and used it for texture in the wings to put also again those brush strokey mag drag type of line. Not my field of like use, but I can imagine, which is now very popular, all these calligraphy type of like texts and almost like Tibetan style, or some do this like straight up crazy calligraphy. And with these I could see that you could have kind of more textured look for like that brush stroke, not brush stroke, but when you draw with ink and you don't change the angle of the needle, so all that stuff. I could see these would work fine. And again, these are available in cartridges and on bar needles. If you are loyal to your machine and don't want to experiment with this stuff, have a look. There's also a bunch of these interesting groupings and big groupings available for bar needles. I've tried a bunch of groupings. My favorite are 12 thickness needles, 10s as well. They were fine. And I tried 0.83 and 0.85, and I didn't see any difference from a regular magnum. That size of needle is so small and the gap in between is so insignificant that it's just like using regular magnum. I could see in some styles some people could use it if you're looking for really small magnums, because this one would be like 3 magnum. Boom. And you cannot get them like from regular suppliers. I might be wrong, but the smallest one for regular magnums is like 5, so this one is 3. Pretty unique stuff, and maybe in some permanent makeup type of a situation there could be use of it. I know nothing about it, but for me 10s and 12s were fine. 3 for a unique type of a case, or I could see maybe people doing those micro portraits, like, you know, all the small cats and dogs and animals and whatnot. A small magnum for that type of a work. I don't know what they use, but I could imagine this could be a use. Yeah, and you can check Inkclaw website, all sorts of interesting groupings of needles. Then they have the tattoo machine line. They have all the interesting stuff starting from regular tattoo machines, well, not the regular, the rotaries, pen types, and then they have those in-between battery grips, pretty interesting stuff. And then also accessories for the big needles, big ink caps, big grips for like if you use coils or machines that use bar needles. Check that stuff out. And after all this time being excited about Inkclaw products, there's finally also affiliate program for us. Check our affiliate link in the video description and use our discount code. That way you will get a discount and we will get a little kickback. So that way, win-win, you support channel and hopefully we get something out of it. And now you do your part. Share your thoughts on this video and on these needles. Which ones you think are awesome, which ones we could live without, and do all the YouTubey stuff. Press likes, comment on the video. If you are super awesome, then share it. And if you're new here and you like this type of content, then consider subscribing to the channel. And press that little bell notification so you know when new videos pop up. And also check this playlist, there's a reviews on other Inkclaw products. Also there's a bunch of playlists in video description. Thank you for watching, see you in the future episodes. If you want to buy something, use our links, use our discounts, support the channel. Thank you for watching, peace, bye.